Good morning, students. Today I am going to give you a brief introduction of the novel Tess of the D'Urberville by Thomas Hardy. This novel is one of the greatest tragic novels of the world. It was published in 1891 and was also one of the best novels of Hardy, which brought him not only fame and fortune but also critical acclaim. As you know that all good novels have six major constituent elements. And what are they? They are setting, that includes time and place of action, then characters, then plot, then comes point of view, theme, and dialogue or language. So let's discuss this novel on the basis of these six elements. The first element is setting. This includes the time when the story occurs and the place where it occurs. So the story of this novel is set in the time 1880s and 1890s. And the place where it occurs is Wessex. As always, the southwest region of England. Because we know that Hardy sets all his stories and novels in the background of Wessex region. Then if we talk about the second element of a novel or a short story also, we'll talk about the characters, the second element. So the characters are the actors in a story. And in this novel, there are three types of characters. Number one, the protagonist or the main leading character, around whom the whole story revolves. Here in this novel, the main character is Tess D'Urberville, a young girl, very simple and very beautiful. Then besides her, there are two more important characters who influence her life, and they are Alec D'Urberville and Angel Clare. They form the second category of characters. And then comes the minor characters who play significant but minor role in the action of the novel. Here in this novel, these characters are Mr. John D'Urberville, father of Tess, Mrs. D'Urberville, her mother, Lisa Lou, her sister, then Mr. Clare, the parson, and three milkmaids, companions of Tess. The tone of this novel is realistic and pessimistic. Hardy is said to be a pessimist and believes that man is a victim of his circumstances and that everything is predestined. And here also in this novel, we'll come to know, when we'll read it, we'll come to know that the main character, Tess, how she becomes a victim of her circumstances and she has to face the consequences for which she herself is not as much responsible. Then if we talk about the point of view, then in this novel, the narrator speaks in the third person. Third person means the use of he, she or it. And that narrator, he looks deep into the character's mind, probe deep into the character's mind. The narrator is objective and omniscient, which means he can be at many places at the same time, and he also has an understanding of the future implications of characters' action as they happen. Then comes the plot of the novel. Plot means what happens in the story or the events of the story and the sequence in which they are told. That is the plot, and it is a very important element of work of fiction. It can be a novel or it can be a story. A good plot provides conflict. So, the plot structure of this novel is constructed as exposition, and with it begins the conflict. If you look at the exposition, the beginning of the story, we come to know that Tess's father discovers that they are ancient English aristocracy, and this gives him all fantasies of a higher station in life. The major conflict in the story is that due to circumstances, Tess has to leave her village and she has to work at some other place. There she is seduced, impregnated, and abandoned by the son of her upper class patroness, where she goes to work. And this makes her unacceptable to her true love, that is Angel Clare, later in life when she marries him. The action begins, or we can say that the rising action starts when Tess accidentally kills the family horse, which drives her to seek help from the Doubervilles, where she is seduced and dishonored by Alec. And then the climax, when Tess's husband, her love, Angel Clare, discovers her earlier seduction by Alec and decides to leave her. He goes off to Brazil and even not answers her letters, and this brings Tess to much despair. Then the falling action. What happens? Forced by circumstances, her family circumstances were such that she has to decide to marry Alec, who claims to love her. Angel returns from Brazil meanwhile and discovers about Tess's marriage to her former seducer and is meeting with Tess. Eventually, Tess murders Alec and she escaped with Angel, but her happiness was short lived. She was found by the police and she was executed in the end. So, this was the event, these were the events or the sequence of events we come through in the novel, and it is constructed as the rising action, first the exposition, and with it begins the major conflict, the rising action, then comes the climax, and then the falling action or the denouement. Then next important element is themes. The theme is the main idea of the story. It is its underlying meaning or significance, what actually the writer is trying to convey. In Tess of the Douberville, the themes are: number one, the injustice of existence. This means that human being is a victim of chance and fate, and he has to face the consequences. Then changing ideas of social class in Victorian England. So the thinking of the people of that particular time is revealed or is portrayed by Thomas Hardy in this novel. And another important theme is that how men dominates women in those times. This is also exhibited in the novel. So these are the main themes, and with this, today we have discussed in brief about the elements of a novel and how Tess of the Douberville as a novel appears before us. It's just an outline and overview of this novel I have given you, and tomorrow we'll talk about its story in brief. So till then, thank you.